If somebody discriminated against you, would you go back afterward and try to provoke them? I wouldn't, but this couple did. This is a pretty crazy movie and there is a lot to talk about here. This is 2017's B&B. Now, it is one of my favorite times of the year, so what better way to celebrate the Halloween season than to talk about a gay thriller? And I wasn't expecting to make a video about this movie, but it did win me over by the end. And one thing that I usually take into consideration when I'm recommending or talking about a movie is how accessible it is to the audience. And as of recording this right now, the film is available for free on YouTube. And I'll have a link in the description or somewhere so you can see it. Again, it's only 86 minutes, and if you're looking for something that has a little bit of the Halloween type of thriller, type of horror atmosphere, and it features gay characters, then this is a place that you can start. I'm going to be avoiding any major spoilers, but I will be talking about the film, so just be aware of that. Now, B&B tells the story of a gay couple who returned back to a bed and breakfast after they won a discrimination case against the owner who did not want them staying in the same bed there. And everything I just said is very easily summed up with a close-up of a newspaper saying exactly what happened. And what's so brilliant about this movie, above all else, is how quickly you get enveloped in the story, and the pacing is excellent. And you might not like this movie after it's over, but the way that it sucked me in and it kept me interested was excellent filmmaking. And that it just kind of goes along and there's no fat at all. It just completely moves along quickly and the plot never feels like there's any loose or extra bone in here. It's just precise. And this is a type of story that is, you know, has happened before. I mean, in terms of like the discrimination aspect and this, and then that unfolding. But of course, the director's putting a spin on it and imagining what it would be like if the gay couple went back there and tried to create a drama. And what's great about this is that it doesn't really fulfill the expectations that you might have early on, meaning that you think that this is the villain and you think these are the good guys, but it gets really mixed and gray. And that's what's really great about this movie. And one of the big standout performances in this is the hotel clerk, who could easily play just a straight up evil character, but you find out, and it's also the way that he's written, that there's a lot of depth to this character that could have easily just come off as just a pure villain with no redeeming qualities. Now, I'm somebody, and I've said this before, but I'm somebody who is not good at following complicated plots, and boy, does this movie kind of get really complicated, especially as things start to boil up. But I have to say that even though I was like rewinding the movie to see if I had missed something about, in particular, without giving anything away, like character motivations, I was not wrong, because it's okay to be confused, because later the film does catch you up on some things that you might feel like you should have known at a certain point, but the director does catch you up later. So what I'm trying to say is that it's okay to be slightly confused at points in this movie. One of the elements in this is a foreign character, and we don't know exactly what he's saying. If you speak his language, you might know, and that might give you some insight into what's happening with this character, but I didn't speak the language that he speaks, so I was left in the dark. But that also comes into play about the language barrier between one character and the others. And what the film does a great job of exploring is this idea of bias and your expectations and your projections of people based on who they originally present themselves. But we all know in life that people aren't necessarily that black and white, and there's a lot of nuance to situations, and I think this movie does a great job exploring that in a very thriller-like way. The film also makes use of the night vision photography, which immediately took me back to Buffalo Bill and the Silence of the Lambs, and there's just something really creepy about that device, especially the way that it makes that sound, that high-pitched sound. This movie is just a lot of fun, and It's very short. It's about a little over 80 minutes, but it does, like I said, paced very well and moves by very quickly. I would say this is more of a thriller and not so much a horror movie, but there are elements that are, I would say on the scary sort of side of things. Now, I think that this movie is going to satisfy some people and leave some people upset, and it's because of the way that the plot gets very, and I don't mean this in a necessarily derogative way, but very convoluted, and it leaves you with a lot more questions than answers about what exactly happened. Not that there's a very ambiguous ending, but there's a lot of questions about certain characters and their motivations and the way that things are resolved, or should I say unresolved. And what's really good about this film is that there's a very strong gay married couple at the center of it. And it's nothing to do with their relationship per se. It has to do with some external factors, which was, for me, a different approach on a story that could easily just turn into a film about just their interpersonal marriage situation. So that was different. What's really good about a thriller like this is that you don't necessarily see gay characters be the leads in these types of stories. So I loved that that was a big element here. And there's also really good camera work in this, and just it feels like the director and the cinematographer and the editor, and everybody who worked on this knew exactly what type of film they were making, and they executed it excellently. Now, if you like movies like this, I have also other movies that I've covered that have similar vibes to this one. But yeah, this is one of my this is one of the best times of the year, I always feel. I don't know if you can tell.